Today on The Conservative Rebel, after a fruitless couple weeks crying about the deportation of a wife-beating MS-13 terrorist, the Democrats have decided to humiliate themselves further by impeaching Trump for that, and other horrifying actions like cutting government corruption with DOGE. We'll break down the articles and try to wrap our minds around the shamelessness and hypocrisy of these people today on The Conservative Rebel. As you know by now, the Democrats have had a humiliating past couple of weeks. They've spent the whole time sobbing about the deportation of a Salvadoran national and wife-beating MS-13 terrorist back to his home country. First, the entire media launched a coordinated hoax claiming this scumbag was a law-abiding Maryland dad who was wrongly deported. And then, of course, Senator Chris Van Hollen went to El Salvador for a romantic date with this criminal and then blasted the humiliating photos of himself sipping margaritas with this gangster all over the internet. It was almost as if he was trying to lose supporters along with the rest of the Democrat Party. As damning evidence has come to light about this criminal that clearly points to him being an MS-13 gangster, even Van Hollen has tried to retreat just a little bit. And in this same time frame, two crushing polls have come out showing the 18 to 21 demographic has abandoned the Democrat Party in historic numbers, and another poll showing Democrats' approval in Congress is at a historic low. Meanwhile, these people are exploring the exciting possibility of a dark woke strategy, guaranteed to lose them even more voters. The Democrats have made so many political blunders in so short a time, it's been like watching a car wreck in slow motion. It's both depressing and quite interesting to behold at the same time. But fortunately for Trump and the Republicans' electoral prospects, the Democrats don't seem to have learned anything from it. In fact, they're doubling down on their insane positions, as you would expect. If you doubt it, just look at what these people have decided to impeach Trump for. The Hill reports, quote, Michigan Democratic Representative Sri Thanagar announced Monday he has filed articles of impeachment against President Trump. Thanagar said he was introducing 7 articles of impeachment against Trump for various actions, including the deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man mistakenly sent to El Salvador. Big air quotes around that. That's the MS-13 terrorist we talked about a few weeks ago. And the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, cutting funds without congressional approval. So let's see how much of Shri's big announcement we can endure. Take a listen.
This is Congressman Sri Thanagar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment. From denying due process to unlawful deportations, Trump defied court orders. He imposed damaging tariffs and threatened military invasions of our allies. He has retaliated against journalists, attorneys, and critics for exercising their right to free speech. Finally, and most importantly, he is attempting to consolidate unchecked power and erode the constitutional limits of the presidency. In this country, we have presidents, not kings. That's not just misconduct, it's impeachable misconduct. This isn't leadership, it's tyranny. If we let this stand, we are saying the president is above the law, that the United States Constitution is optional. I won't be silent, and I'm calling on all my colleagues, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, to stand up with me. Enough is enough. Donald J. Trump must be impeached.
Yes, that guy you just listened to is a sitting member of the United States Congress. Now, this is unlikely to actually succeed in taking down Trump because the Republicans control both houses of Congress, as you know. But this still just shows how shameless the Democrats are, how determined they are to get rid of Trump. And this is definitely going to happen if we lose the House in 2026, if we lose Congress in the midterms. You can bet your life that the Democrats are going to instantly impeach Trump, and they're almost certainly going to be successful at doing it. And we're getting just a preview of what they're planning, the ridiculous things they're going to charge him with. Let's take these articles of impeachment that Shri has decided to charge against Trump. Let's take them one at a time. And it's insane how hypocritical each and every one of them is, as you'll see. 1. Obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power, including denial of due process, unlawful deportations, defiance of court orders, and misuse of the DOJ. Now, leaving aside the fact that Trump has not denied anyone who is owed due process, he has not unlawfully deported anyone, he is totally correct to defy court rulings, and he has not misused the DOJ, leaving aside that everything in here is a lie. Let's look at how Biden did. Because where were these Democrats when Biden defied the Supreme Court by going through with his unconstitutional student loan bribery scheme designed to buy the votes of young people and college kids by giving them handouts from the federal government? Because the Supreme Court ruled he couldn't do that. Guess what? Biden did it anyway. There weren't anyone on the left. No one on the left was screaming about a constitutional crisis then. Joe Biden is defying the court. It's fascism. No one said that. No one did, because they don't actually care about separation of powers at all. All they care about is advancing their political agenda. They expect us to play by the rules, even though some of these rules aren't even in the Constitution, but they expect us to play by those rules, but then they never have to follow them. They can do whatever they want when they take power. It's insane, and the Republicans will just let them do this because we have to follow the Constitution. We have to do due process. We're above them. We're not gonna stoop to their level. That's a guaranteed way to lose the country. Guaranteed. If you're facing some guy, you're walking through the streets of Seattle at night, a guy grabs you with a knife and slams you against a brick wall in some alleyway and demands your money, are you gonna say, oh, I don't believe in violence, I'm not gonna fight back? No, you fight back. You get away from that situation and you save your life. You don't just let him kill you and take your wallet. This is what this is. This is how we lose. We need to get out of this mentality. Usurpation of appropriations power for dismantling congressionally established agencies and impounding federal funds. Again, stupid, because all these agencies Trump is dismantling, all of this funding that Trump is cutting is unconstitutional. Not only can he cut it, okay, he has a duty to cut it, because he has sworn an oath to protect the Constitution. And he is the one who enforces the laws Congress passes. The executive branch spends the money. Congress votes for an unconstitutional thing. Duty of the executive branch: do not spend that money. Cut it. Abuse of trade powers and international aggression, including imposing economically damaging tariffs and threatening military invasion against sovereign nations. Biden imposed tariffs. None of the Democrats were talking about tariffs when Biden imposed them. You know how I feel about tariffs. You know that I am not particularly fond of tariffs as someone who supports free market capitalism. Okay, you know that's my position. But the Democrats are only accidentally right on this. They're being hypocrites, okay? They have no right to criticize Trump's tariffs, Trump implementing tariffs without Congress, when Biden did the exact same thing and they all went along with it. Violation of First Amendment rights. Give me a break. For heaven's sake, you are throwing peaceful pro-life protesters in jail. You are throwing people in jail for praying. That's what you did when Biden held office. And now you're talking about Trump violating First Amendment rights? You have no right to say that. Since when have you given a crap about the First Amendment? It's only when you're not in power. You don't care about the Constitution or about free speech at all. You only care about advancing your political agenda. Creation of an unlawful office, which is Doge, constitutionally empowering Elon Musk to unilaterally violate the Constitution. He's cutting spending. See what a fascist he is? So stupid. First fascist in history to reduce the size of government. First fascist in history to cut the size of the regime he controls. Bribery and corruption. Bribery and corruption. What about Biden and Hunter Biden and the Ukrainian corruption with the Ukrainian oil companies that were all shady? All their shady business dealings with China, their compromises with China. Biden is one of the most corrupt, lying politicians in modern American history. Do not tell me about bribery and corruption when you supported the thief who was in office just a little while ago. And finally, the 7th article of impeachment: tyrannical overreach, seeking to consolidate unchecked power, erode civil liberties, and defy constitutional limits on presidential authority. Do not tell me again about constitutional limits on presidential authority, unchecked power, erosion of civil liberties, when you locked up your political opponents, tried to lock up the guy who ran against you, and defied the Constitution in one of the most flagrant ways the Constitution has ever been defied in all of American history, by importing tens of millions of illegal aliens into this country to rig the elections for yourself, by allowing our country to be murdered and pillaged and pilfered for your political interests, by treason. You committed treason. That's what you did. You let foreign invaders rampage through the country, and you helped them do it. Why? Because they're gonna vote for you. Because they are going to support you. Because you want to destroy this country and everything it stands for. Do not tell me about the Constitution when your party did that. When you were all there with your pom-poms cheering about how great Biden was. Do not tell me about the Constitution, Shri. Now, pretty much all of these 7 articles of impeachment could have been used against Biden. Biden obstructed justice, abused executive power. He abused his trade powers, violated the First Amendment rights, locked people up for praying, okay? He was manipulating the deep state, expanding the deep state, engaged in bribery and corruption and treason and tyrannical overreach. All of these things Biden actually did, and you turned a blind eye to it. But the second a guy you don't like takes office, you pull these things out of nowhere and just claim he's doing all of these things. The hypocrisy of these people, the shamelessness of these people is just insane. I cannot believe it. So what do we do now? We get what we can do done as fast as we can, because these people are dedicated to stopping the MAGA agenda. They are dedicated to making sure the will of the voters is not carried out. The clock is ticking, okay? We have a very short time frame, potentially, before these people take back Congress, and they're ready to oust President Trump, and probably with the help of some losers like Lisa Murkowski, or someone like that. So, we need to get serious about this, and we need to get serious about the deportations, serious about implementing Trump's agenda fast. We need to move fast. We need to move like people will not believe. We need to show the voters that we are dedicated to implementing the agenda they voted for. Now is not the time for being squeamish. Now is the time for courage and for action to save this country from these barbarians. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Conservative Rebel. Please follow the show, leave a review, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you on the next episode.